I was busy pouring a beer. Welcome to Beerfield. I am your host, Chris Hopper at Beerfield Hop. As always, joined by at Beerfield Theory at Ryan Miner _FFB. We interrupted his TV time, so sorry about that. Kind of. Gentlemen.
That's like 3 apologies to him.
Yeah, it's like my
4
showtime.
apologies.
It's only the second one he heard, though.
That's fair. That's fair.
And also, I really shouldn't, all my personal work says I shouldn't be apologizing or feel guilty because the information was shared, but I'm going to anyway. Because
You're just such a nice guy.
I'm not responsible for that, but I'll do it anyway. Welcome to the show. We're gonna talk football stuff. We're gonna go through and go around the league here a little bit and do a check-in on some dynasty values in kind of a fun little way that's designed to be quick. We got some NFL news to get to, and we got some beer to drink. So I'm just gonna go ahead and jump straight into what we're drinking, and yeah, let's do that.
What's fueling Beerfield?
Ryan, what did you grab at a last minute rush to get here? His AirPods broke again.
Oh. Well, Dan grabs something he's had sitting around for, I think, 2 years now, a year and a half now. This is, I think I had it on the show, but it's a barrel aged beer, so all things can change. So this is Hand of Fate collaboration with Benny's, my previous employer. This is a Stygian Symbiosis. This is a collaboration barrel aged beer. I don't remember what barrels were given to them. I don't know if this was the Weller 12 one or not. It may have been. If it was the Weller 12 one, then it was one that I was still there for. I was probably told by somebody what it was, but yeah, this is their Benny's gave Hand of Fate some barrels, and they made a beer for it, aged it in said barrels, and this is the liquid that came out. I believe this came out in 2021 or 22. So
nice. Curious to hear how it's evolved. I honestly don't remember you having it on the first time. I know that you
I don't
had
either,
some collab
but
stuff on the first time, but I don't remember it being Hand of Fate. So I don't think you did.
I may not have, or if I did, it wasn't that memorable. I remember not being overly impressed by it, but we'll see what has changed in my mind in a year or two.
I think it being Hand of Fate, I might have remembered, but I only remember you having one Benny's collab, and I think it was in a 16-ounce can. There was a barrel aged collab with somebody.
Okay.
Anyway, Ryan, I was trying to put you on the spot. You faked headphones dying so you can go grab a drink, I think.
No, my earbuds did die. I was like, God damn it, here we go again. But that's okay. I got them back up there. We're up and running. And then I remember I didn't have anything to drink because I ran down here real fast down in my basement. So
see, my plan would have worked out great, but his earbuds died. So did you get something to drink?
I did. I have a Brewdog's Lost, which is a Planet First lager.
Nice. That sounds
Planet First lager.
What? So I'm assuming that, do they elaborate on that at all? Because I'm assuming that's some type of conservation thing.
Doesn't say anything on the can. No.
What does the can look like?
Oh boy.
Lost. Because Brewdog had rights to a lot of Universal stuff, so I don't know if it was a collaboration. It'd be a collaboration that way.
I got it. It is a variant of a Lost Lager. Lost Lagers are old style lagers that were actually brewed with old bread. That's the style. Yeah. So it's brewed with a surplus of fresh bread, using a third less water, powered by Brewdog wind turbines, and for every pack, they plant a tree in the Brewdog Lost Forest. So it does have sustainability tied to it. A little bit of cost going to it, using fresh bread, surplus bread instead of grain, so probably like day-old stuff that was going to get thrown out, and then less water to mash in. I'm interested to hear how that turns out, actually. That is a very intriguing beer for me.
Yeah, sounds good.
It's a very interesting technique to it. 3.2 on Untapped, but that could mean a lot of different things.
Untapped, that is a pure I hate that style.
Most people don't know what that style is, so
yeah, it's
I'm imagining it's probably going to be light and bready and maybe a little yeasty. Anyway, I'm drinking Half Acre, which I don't think I've ever done on the show. I have their Springbok, otherwise known as a Maybach or a Hellesbach, I'm fairly certain. Chuck's in at 6.8%. For those that don't know, a Maybach is a moderate to strong, grainy sweet malt aroma, often with lightly toasted quality and low Maillard products. Can be spicy herbal with floral hop aroma. Some low fruity esters are optional. Also, it's basically a lighter version of a Bock beer. So you think of Bocks as being big, bready, and caramely and dark. The lighter version of it. So we'll get that about halfway through.
News.
All right, first things first. I have an announcement to make. No, I'm not leaving yet. So I've long had a goal for this show to hit 500 episodes. And we are at episode 435 tonight.
Oh boy, god damn it!
It's
like 3 more years of shows.
No, it's not. No, it's
I
not.
know. It's like a year and a half.
I did the math. It's like a year and a half. You're right.
Yeah.
I did the math, and that is shaping up very, very nicely to line up with the beginning of the 2024 NFL season. I've been doing not a lot of thinking. I don't know. It's been weighing on me for a little bit, right? I don't necessarily have the passion around this that I used to. I have fun sitting here and talking to Dan and Ryan every week. I very, very much still enjoy the process of recording. I don't enjoy the process that goes into it beforehand. We've become, I'm not pining over statistics. I'm talking out of my ass half of every episode. Even rookies, which I normally enjoy, like I didn't really love that labor, and it's become less of a labor of love for me as we've gone on. Also, the community, in my opinion, is kind of degraded over time, to be completely honest. When we got into this game, damn near 6, almost 7 years ago now, when we started doing this, it was a community of people that were very, very supportive of growing each other on a platform, Twitter. I'll get to that in a minute. That, everybody helped each other out. There's a lot of cross collaboration, a lot of people that trying to grow and trying to get there. And somewhere along the line, it became very, very cliquey. It became very, very not welcoming, very, very competitive. There were conferences that launched, 2 or 3 of them in the meantime, that were very approachable and were a great way to go hang out with like-minded people. And now those are not approachable if you're not willing to dump hundreds and hundreds of dollars into having a booth and getting a hotel and hanging out. Like, it's not affordable if you're not making money out of doing it, just to be completely honest. And, not to mention the primary platform for all of this stuff has gone into a little bit of tyranny, to say the least. Not that we've ever been good at social media since Nick left. But I guess what I'm saying is that I'm pretty disenfranchised with the whole thing. I still love talking rookies and Dynasty and free agency and all the key points, but everything else that comes along with this, I haven't really had a fire for, and I haven't had a fire for it for a long time. So I'm not one to give up on my goals either. So what I'm saying right now, and good Lord, we're a year and a quarter away from it, but what I'm saying right now, one other point before I get there. I was also single without kids and without really anything else going on when we decided to start doing this. I mean, we were, good Lord, I had the time to record 5 nights a week, and now I have problems finding 1 night a week to do it. And
dude, it's insane where we've come from in 6 years.
Gotten married, hit long-term relationships. In my case, had kids, moved away, gotten jobs with higher demands, and it becomes more of a chore. So with that, I'm not going to give up on my goals of I want to see it to 500 episodes. I'm going to see it to 500 episodes, whether we have to double up some weeks because we skip other weeks or whatever. But my goal is to line 500 episodes up with the beginning of the 2024 season. So by week 1, I want to be at 500 episodes, and then I think I'm done. So we're going to do this whole season. or at least I am. And then I'm going to do all next offseason because I got to study the rookies anyway. I love that part of it. I still love the offseason. I still love free agency. I still love Dynasty. But hitting the beginning of the 2024 season, I think I'm going to walk away from fantasy football podcasting. I have ideas for other things I want to do, other content creation things I want to do. In part of that will still probably involve some football talk. I know we've tried to do it in the past where we've roped other things into this, but we keep coming back to the same format. And I think I'm just ready to get away from it and put that energy, that little audience that we have, into doing something that maybe has more of an impact or is more broad spread. I don't know. I was brainstorming some things earlier. But anyway, to put some finality on it, this is the first time Dan and Ryan are hearing it too. 2024 week 1 is probably where I'm going to wrap this thing up for me. So, good news for you guys. You still got 65 episodes a year in my ass.
Fuck.
That's a ways away. But
65 episodes.
I think you peaked when we all met up with each other in Kansas City. I think that was the peak.
I think we peaked.
Shit, our peak was
2.
like year 2. We were actually making a little bit of money from it.
I think I peaked in year 2, but yeah, I just think that there are things that I would rather pour my energy into, but I'm also would not feel good with myself if I didn't hit the milestone I've told myself for years I wanted to hit, and it's gotten a lot slower.
Dude, that 500th episode will not be week 1, but I promise you, I'm not gonna have my final episode be the start of the season.
I want it to be.
It's gonna be an episode.
I want it to be the episode before week 1.
It's gonna be something grand.
I want it to be the last non-preview episode, basically.
Yeah.
So we can do it grand and get the hell out. There's plenty of
It's gonna
good
be
people,
buys
right?
and sells or like ADP check.
I would rather.
Why not reflect over all the episodes from episode 1 till now? Like bring Nick back and stuff.
We'll do.
Remember
I don't have that much time. We'll do something. We got time to think of it. But anyway, that's
you guys 65.
Got a year and a quarter
on it.
Right now it tracks to August 18th. If we did August 18th, 2024, if we did one episode a week, I know that there's a couple planned skip days in there and stuff like that. So we'll make it line up. I want to make it line up before week 1, though. I'm not into a week 1 preview. There's no fucking way I'm into
and then end.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm all fine just skipping the regular season and just doing off-season content, but that's a different conversation.
Yeah, but then I don't get to 500. So that's
well, I mean, you do it just takes you a little bit longer.
Well,
but
that's a different conversation. We'll talk about it.
It skips the shit parts of it.
We'll talk about it on the course on Friday. I'll let you know what I'm thinking a little bit more.
We'll do once a month. We'll make this last 10 more years.
I'll let you know what I'm thinking a little bit more on Friday when we link up.
We'll talk about it. That's fine.
Anyway, that's my bombshell. That's like, oh, that's a year and a half away. But anyway, moving on to happier things. Dan Snyder's agreed to sell the Washington Commanders to 76ers and Devils owner Josh Harris.
Yay.
Finally, that headache's gone. This is all quick stuff that doesn't really require a lot of anything.
Not much news right now.
Just some housekeeping stuff. Snyder's selling the Commanders. The NFL passed what I'm terming the Brock Purdy rule. Allows for a third quarterback to be active on game days for emergency scenarios. The QB must be on the 53-man roster, and the starter cannot be benched in favor of the third quarterback, but he will not count towards your game day active count. So it's kind of like the emergency backup goalie in the NHL, except they actually have to be on the 53-man roster, but they don't have to be count against your active total for game day. It's to prevent a situation where, you had to have Brock Purdy come back in injured, for example.
I wonder how many teams are actually going to, this is going to be used by all 32. Because with it counting towards the 53, I mean, that's rostering 3 quarterbacks for a lot of teams that have guys like Mahomes and Allen levels of quarterback. They don't keep 3. They
don't do that, no.
It may be a situation where...
Or as a hybrid, kind of like your Kindle Middle. Kindle
Hilton?
Hilton's?
Hinton?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what it'll come down to probably is every team has the emergency quarterback in that situation, but I think you'll see teams utilize this if they, one, know that they're already thin. Like maybe a guy's questionable.
Yeah.
Or you may have a situation where teams that carry through will probably do this, but I think what's really going to happen is you're going to see playoff teams utilize this in the playoffs or in high leverage games to not get caught with their pants down, essentially. I don't think you're going to see this a lot in the early part of the season. I think when you get into some of these must-win games where you've got quarterbacks that are banged up, or you get into you got a quarterback, your starter is going to try to go, but you know that there's a chance he can't go. Situational.
It's going to be a lot of, though, it's going to be, as you mentioned, it's going to be a lot of questionable quarterbacks who would normally miss weeks are now going to be active
as the
third QB. Like, I'm sure they have to announce it, an hour and a half prior to kickoff. So yeah, like, we're not going to be surprised. Like, oh my God, we have 5 minutes till kickoff. Is Teddy Bridgewater going to, or is Tua going to actually play? Which is, a player that could actually happen too. I doubt that'll happen. Obviously, don't want to protect.
Or it's week one, you go late round QB, and you have all 3 San Francisco starters. Which one's starting?
Yeah, you're right. You should just say same thing with Miami. Honestly,
just put in team quarterback, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore.
Oh my God, team QB
drafts. Team
QB. Oof. Rough.
All right, I guess both of these are kind of okay. Saints head coach Dennis Allen expects Foster Moreau to be ready for OTAs just 2 months after battling Hodgkin's lymphoma. So quick turnaround for Foster Moreau, but he's going to be back on the field pretty quick. So
good for him.
Good for him. The other one is an interesting note. Former Bills punter Matt Araiza, the punt god, has been cleared in his criminal sexual abuse allegations that were filed against him. He's also been cleared in the university investigation. The only investigation still standing is a civil investigation, and I think that's only still standing because he's not going to settle it at this point because there's video evidence that shows he was not even present at the time of the alleged incident that he was accused of.
Yeah.
So, like, I think this is a lesson for anybody in the media. While we absolutely don't condone being in situations that could lead to that, which he wasn't even there, or at least not at the time it happened. He might have been earlier, but also it is still important to let things play out and let the facts come out and let things release, because a year later, now what we've got is we got a 23-year-old kid that was a middle round draft pick that had allegations leveled against him, was immediately cut 2 days later because of how terrible and heinous those allegations were, and come to find out there's evidence that says he wasn't even there. So, that's the flip side of the coin, right?
He did admit to having sex with her. Like, he wasn't there when it happened. I think he slept with her. I think it was beforehand. He admitted that she was underage. Like, look, there's a lot of shit that still goes into this.
Yep.
It's a bad look on all fronts. We're not going to get into the beyond football, but I'll just go out and say that it did so much more damage to both men and women when it comes to these type of allegations. She lied, but she was also belligerently drunk and had also very little memory of it. So,
and trauma can cause those paths to rewrite, hide things, misremember. Like, there's a lot of study that goes into that.
Yeah.
If you're interested in it, read a book called The Body Keeps the Score. It covers a lot of the neural pathways and how they will rewire themselves to avoid trauma, and how when you're doing trauma work, you have to reconnect a lot of that. And obviously, undoubtedly, there's no disputing that heinous thing. We won't put words to it because of trigger warnings and everything. That heinous thing did happen to her. Ariza just wasn't involved in it. For men, I think that the warning here is be careful of the sexual situations you put yourself into. If it is even remotely questionable, err on the side of just don't fucking do it. It's not worth a court battle. it's not worth, anything potentially negative that can come out of it for either party. You have a responsibility to protect the person that you're with. You have a responsibility to protect yourself. So if it's not 100% without a doubt, there is consent and this is a kosher situation and these are the boundaries, don't put yourself into it. That's pretty much all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah.
That's the best advice I think I can give for anybody that cares about my advice.
That's right.
Anyway, on to some fun stuff because I think that's it for the news. I didn't miss anything there, did I?
Oh, no. You missed the Thursday night.
Oh, the Thursday night flex thing?
You can now, in weeks 13 through 17, you can have your games be flexed to Thursday or flex out of Thursday.
That is so shitty for the players.
It's shitty for everybody, for the players and for the fans.
Only
and
person,
for for everybody.
Because
you got people that are
the network.
Yeah,
it doesn't suck for is the network.
Like you're buying tickets to a Sunday game, and all of a sudden, oh, by the way, because your team sucks or because your opponent sucks or both, you're now flexed to Thursday night because they want to avoid. Either they're more likely trying to avoid having good games or games that could decide things on Thursday and just push it to Sunday. Again, just get rid of fucking Thursday night. It's like I understand it makes NFL so much money, but for
right,
it just this is so fucking dumb. Just so dumb. It's gonna probably happen this year. It's gonna be fucking stupid. You're gonna have a lot of fans bitch and complain because you're uplifting. You were scheduling to go to the game, especially out of towners. Let's say for a Sunday game, it gets flexed to Thursday.
That would suck at that point.
They're gonna say good luck to you. Fuck that, or like even vice versa. There's a lot of people that don't work fucking normal jobs that have normal hours.
I think about like Bill's Mafia here that travels really, really well, right? That's a good football team. Like they're probably going to be disproportionately affected by that. And the only person it's good for is Amazon, who paid into the NFL $1 billion. That's it. Maybe the NFL should just, I don't know, have the foresight to fucking schedule it better.
Maybe Amazon will have better streaming too.
Just get rid of Thursday. Just get
rid of Thursday. I agree.
Get rid of Thursday.
I agree. Completely. All right. We're going to use this drop just because I haven't used it in a while. I don't know if it fits, but we're going to do it.
You call it.
All right. Series of things. We're going to do AFC break. We'll do the NFC. I didn't necessarily go team by team. I went through teams and just said, this is interesting. If they didn't have anything interesting, I didn't put it in here. If it was something I felt like could be interesting, I made it an option. So we're going to start in the AFC. And the first one is pick a guy. Damian Harris or James Cook. Who are you rolling with to be the top scoring Bills running back this season? Half PPR for everything, by the way.
I'll take Damian Harris.
This good because I was going to take James Cook.
I was going to take Damian Harris. I'm going to keep track of this too, so we can go back to this later.
All in receipts.
Dan, why don't you go ahead and talk about why you're.
Well, I get the reason why they brought in Damian Harris. That's to probably take short yardage work, kind of be a pseudo replacement for Devin Singletary, and to maybe have Josh Allen run the football a bit less or, towards the goal line or in short yardage work. I'm not trying to see what that costs just to see if that actually happens. Cook, second round pick. I understand that he didn't break out as much. I don't even know if either of these players are going to be great. To be quite honest, I don't want any of them, especially probably for what their cost.
You want whatever one's cheaper in redraft, right?
Yeah, sure.
Right.
But even then, so I'm more interested to see how they're going to evolve James Cook. I think he is a better fit for this team in terms of his explosiveness and being able to take advantage of kind of the wide openness. But I also understand that Harris, all-purpose back, obviously he's been able to show out more. They just brought him in. I'll probably lean towards ADP if it ever comes to it. I don't have really any real ties to it, but if I had to pick one gun to my head, I'll pick the one that they spent the day 2 pick on just last year, and then that they're still excited about this offseason.
I'm going to go the Damian Harris side. I'll take this one. Then Ryan, you fill in anything I missed. So for me,
Sure.
on Harris, I look at how this offense has used its running backs over the last couple of seasons, and with James Cook there, and I know you acknowledge this already, Dan. The way that they use Josh Allen and stating that they want him to run less. I mean, they've used their running backs is, I want this guy to close it out. I want Singletary to have the ball in their hands when it's late, and it's in his hands when it's late, and we have a lead. We're going to use these guys between the tackles. They did not really have James Cook, a receiving back on the roster, and when they got James Cook, they didn't really use him in that regard. So I think that Harris is a more talented one-for-one replacement to the Singletary, and the way that the offense has decided to use their running backs. And I know that Cook's explosive. I'm interested to see how he gets involved. He certainly has a higher ceiling, but when I look at what the offense has done over the last several seasons, it directly correlates and fits what Damian Harris does more so than James Cook. And if you get Cook involved in the receiving game, you're trying to do that intermediate, but which yes, Dave Beasley's out of town, Shakir didn't take off. You don't really have an intermediate guy, but at the same time, you just brought in Kincaid, who figures to work that intermediate game. Knox, who figures to work some of that intermediate game. And then, Diggs can work whatever level you need Diggs to work at, with Davis stretching the field. So, pretty much what I'm saying is I think they have to morph their offense to get James Cook touches in the way that James Cook is going to excel. Whereas I think Damian Harris is more of a plug-and-play piece into what they've done the last couple of years.
So looking at quick round before you jump in with yours. So the ADP difference right now is 30 spots. You're looking at round 8 to round 10, round 11, between Cook obviously leading ahead of that, and Harris being more of a very early teens pick, maybe late 9th.
I think
Cook is a 7 to 8.
Both of those have the potential to be a really good value.
Yeah, that's not a bad deal at all on either of them.
So this is again based on best ball, which is going to be, there's slight differences. Cook is by far the better best ball running back, which makes sense. Mm-hmm. We'll see what we'll see what it looks like here in July when we start to get a little more redraft ADP through mock drafts and stuff like that, or very early on redraft leagues drafting. So right now, the best ADP you're going to get, if sites that actually collect it for just redraft, is for best ball.
Indeed.
All right, Ryan, you can go ahead with your thoughts. Sorry.
So yeah, what this team wants, I mean, like last year, Devin Singletary had 177 carries. Josh Allen had 124. And just like Hopper said, they want Josh Allen to pass more, because I don't know if you guys noticed, but he actually Josh Allen had 2 lost fumbles last year, but he also had 8 total fumbles on the season, including his 14 interceptions.
Worried about his body longevity too. Yeah. I don't even know if it's pass more so much as it is. I don't even know if it's pass more so much as it is just take less hits and run less.
Well, he ran 124 times too.
Yeah,
and he took 33 sacks.
Exactly.
So, I mean, if you bring that 124 down, James Cook had 89 carries. You bring that up to 110, 120. I'd probably say 110. So, Josh Allen, I mean, they were maybe 50, 60 more runs. So, maybe we look at more of Harris pushing 200 carries total. He'd be like 185, like 185 to 200.
Do you really think he's going to jump in and take every single carry that
it's vacated?
Singletary took, though?
No, I think
it'd be more of the goal line carries. Like, they don't want Josh Allen doing those goal line stuff.
I think it's going to be what every fantasy gamer loves: hot hand approach.
I think
it's going to be a fucking nightmare to deal with.
I think it's going to tilt to Harris. I think you're probably going to end up about 180, 120 in terms of pure carries, with the target edge going to Cook.
Yeah, and that's why I lean Cook. I'll lean targets. If they're gonna have Josh run less off dropbacks, it's not let's run designs. They're not gonna have those they can control. It's getting Josh to do dump off, sort of work underneath,
and that's where Cook's gonna excel.
And that's where Cook now. Again, we have to see if that's going to actually happen. We've been trying to project this for Allen and for guys like Lamar Jackson and shit like that, for these guys that we want to see that happen for. So,
yeah. I think it's going to be interesting. I think both guys, though, are values. If I can get both guys after round 7, I feel pretty good about it.
I think this is going to
I
think this is going to drastically change once we get training camps and we get
OTAs.
Who's taking first team reps and shit like that. Because I think we're going to see Cook move up and Harris move back.
That would be perfect for me because I think Harris is the one I want to invest in ultimately.
Oh yeah. As you guys mentioned, I just think we're going to get more Cook hype and it's going to push him up to rounds probably 6.
Sure.
And then we're going to get Harris will probably be 10 plus more firmly.
Buy, sell, or hold Rashad Bateman.
I mean, at this point, is a buy. Can't get much lower right now.
Yeah. What's he going at? Basically free. Let's go.
Let me pull up his KTC. I'll pull up wide receivers. I have them both open up right now. Bateman is wide receiver 42. Player 120 is based off of their tier rankings. Mike Williams, Kadarius Toney, Jonathan Mingo, Mike Evans, Hopkins, and then Keenan Allen. Zay Flowers is wide receiver 31, so 11 more. Tier with all the younger guys from last year. Like literally most of the guys he's tiered with are the 2021 receivers that didn't pop up. They basically not named Wilson and Olave.
Gotcha. So I think I'm a hold for Bateman. Which is just the other side of your coin, Dan. You're going to try to buy low. I'm the owner that's like, well, his value's not going to tank. If I had to cut him at this point, it's a loss, but whatever. But I'm going to hold him and hope that there's hope that he's healthy. He's missed 16 games over his first 2 seasons. So
yep,
I'm going to hope that he's healthy, and then I'm going to bet on the fact that his upside is higher than that of Zay Flowers because I think it is. And that he can be more productive than, 2 ACL tear, Odell Beckham coming off of that, and that Lamar can improve as a passer. There's a lot that, needs to happen there, but, it's not like Bateman's been unproductive when he's been on the field. He hasn't been on the field. So I'm going to bet on, going more the Keenan Allen route, finding some health and being able to live up to some of that DC and not give up on that when he's missed, half of his games in his first 2 years.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, he was sprained foot week 4 and then Liz Frank week 8. But like weeks 1 through 3, he was wide receiver 34 in fantasy points. So I mean, there is possibility still there. And like you said too, with Odell Beckham signing, the drafting of Zay Flowers, but we also can't forget about Mark Andrews. So he's actually moving down to wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4. Well, who could have actual.
I mean, I think he'll be still ahead of Zay Flowers. We have an offense that just completely changed.
You don't know how those wide receivers are going to land.
We know that Mark Andrews will probably be the top target.
Yeah, but he was on the field with Andrews, and then it's just, do you believe that he can beat out the other two? And I do. So.
Or what if, the rumor is of Hopkins wanting to go to, the rumor to Baltimore, him and Bateman swap places. Then how do we feel about Bateman being in Arizona?
He'd be in the same position. Now he's tied to a quarterback that's not healthy.
Less competition.
That he can't get actual.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
He's back paired up with Marquise Brown. He has no off season. He has no workup time with Kyler because he's hurt. I think he'd be punting this year for him. Yeah,
they can play Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I don't think he's gonna move. If he was gonna get moved, it would have been during the draft after all the whole calling out his GM. I think the Ravens made it a point that they wanted to keep him. That or his value isn't as high as what
not
they
going to be very high right now.
No, and that's why I don't want to. You shouldn't sell him if you
That's-
don't want to hold on to him. Move him after the first couple of weeks of the regular season.
You should be trying to buy him, though. I agree with that too. If you're, I think he's a holder or buy. Ryan, where are you going on this?
I would buy him right now because he's so cheap. Just to take that chance on it. It's like, especially like right now, like rookie drafts are going on. I'd throw a 3rd round pick at him.
Find some recent trades with him, Dan. Are there any?
I will.
Let's play that game.
Let's pull
because
it up
if you're a buy, like let's actually check that assumption and that his value is really low right now. I'm pretty sure it is, but let's check it.
Come on.
If you did take most people just want him off their team. It's like, man, that was a wasted pick. I'm just willing to give me anything just to let me have something with it.
I think it depends on where you're at too with your team. Most of those things do, but that's recency bias versus long-term development. I believe in long-term development for some of these guys, especially when it's not really performance related. It's
all right. Here we go.
Injury related. So
we got some of these. I want to say are startup drafts potentially, or some big. Yeah, some of these are startup drafts. Some of these are with rookie picks.
Rookie picks we'll play.
All right, so let's look at this. So we got a 2-for-1. We got Bateman in the 301 for Calvin Ridley, which I believe Bateman and Ridley are probably a 1-for-1 swap. I would almost prefer
probably the Bateman side on that.
I would honestly prefer Bateman over Ridley straight up. Ridley hasn't played in 2 years, and he's on a new offense with a lot more competition. Next one is DJ Moore for Bateman in the 517, which I believe would probably be a startup pick, or if it is, it's a very, very late rookie draft pick.
517 sounds more like
sounds more startup.
You'd think it'd be startup, but if it's IDP league, this is how I see it. It's DJ Moore for Rashad Bateman with a 2024 3rd round pick attached. Yeah. That's probably the 5th round value at this point.
I was actually about to pull that up. 5th round value right now. Hold on.
You get a 1-for-1. Rashad Bateman for James Cook.
So 5th round value right now, by the way, is going to be you're going to be in Isaiah Pacheco. Really? Tyler Lockett, right. Dallas Goedert, DeAndre Hopkins, Lamar Jackson, Darren Waller territory. I think
that it's for the startup
PPR.
Yeah. But
so
let's talk about the Bateman for James Cook, because that's a 1-for-1 deal. We just got done talking about James Cook, so not spend a lot of time on him, but it seems like based off these deals, he's a buy.
It does seem like he's a buyer because it seems like
I'd buy him.
Yeah, and I would rather have Bateman than James Cook. I think
I would have Bateman. In any spot that's not a big package deal, I would rather have Bateman. Obviously not DJ Moore. I think that's probably the worst of the moves.
Yeah, I agree. So, all right. So you two are buys. I'm a hold, which is pretty much the devil's advocate of a buy. Just taking it from a manager perspective versus I'm trying to acquire perspective. So I actually think I hate buy sell holds for that reason. I think hold doesn't deserve a place in there because hold
you're not doing anything with it either way.
Holds from a completely different perspective though.
Holds are also, I think, pretty obvious.
Yeah,
because it's always. I mean,
I'm just gonna go buy.
We'll just do buy or sell. Yeah, just do buy or sell.
All right, buy or sell an idea, not a player. Joe Mixon is going to be a bingo to start the season.
Buy.
I'm buying that as well. So none of us sold it, but if you were going to sell that, do you value Chris Evans, Tavion Williams, or Chase Brown higher as a replacement for Mixon, so they cut him post June 1st to clear him for a Burrow deal or something like that?
I honestly would probably think the veteran that they bring in. It's so difficult.
They bring in like Fournette?
Yeah, because I get it. I get it. You guys love
Chase Brown.
Chase Brown.
Yeah.
He was a mid day 3, almost a late day 3 pick. Like he's in the same spot where where Chris Evans was drafted, where Trevion Williams was. This would be a prime spot for a Fournette or a Zeke, so they can get some guys who have actually handled some workload in the NFL. I would value all those 3 backs the same, because one of them is probably not going to make the team, and Chase Brown could end up on the practice squad.
It brings up a good point
to start the year
too with Zeke or Fournette. Like, they're going to find jobs. It's just a matter of post-June first cuts going through, training camp injuries happening, et cetera. Those guys are going to find jobs. So just however you're valuing them, value them as the player, not necessarily their situation, because when the right opportunity arises, those guys are going to land.
Zeke's go back to Dallas.
Yeah.
Zeke's going back to Dallas.
All right, that was a quick one. That's what I like. Buy or sell, Jerome Ford's going to be a top 36 running back with Kareem Hunt out of town and likely not being re-signed.
So
I would sell, but he's definitely someone I got my eye on.
Yeah, he's a handcuff type player. It's nothing that's like, it's all in perspective.
Is he a handcuff type player though? Because I mean, what we've seen.
Jerome Ford?
Yeah, well, look at their depth chart first off, and then
Felton be like more of like the Kareem Hunt there in that backfield. Then
do you think it would be Felton?
I think so. Yeah,
because right now all the hype is around Ford getting the crack at that role, even from the coaching staff like the coaching staff has outright said, we want to see what Jerome Ford can pick up that Nick Chubb doesn't, which is the Kareem Hunt role, i.e. receiving work and outside work. That's where the buzz is from the coaching staff, not just from the media.
He got no targets last year.
Yeah, nothing last year.
That's what I was saying.
He's an interesting case, because if anything happens, like I think Ryan, I think Ryan's right with it. I think he's one injury away guy. It's also, you should roster him on your dynasty rosters, not because he's just a straight backup to Nick Chubb, but because Nick Chubb, I believe, is a free agent after this year. So
yeah,
or at least could. I shouldn't say possibly. We're also in May. I'd be hesitant to put any stock in Jerome Ford.
Yeah, I'm gonna sell.
If he's top 36, that's a massive sell.
That's why we're here. I'm gonna sell it as well. Sell the idea, not the player.
Yeah, I mean, he only had four receptions with his max.
Yeah,
in a game. So,
well, Kareem Hunt was there. So I'm selling.
No, I mean like his college stats. I'm looking at Jerome Ford's college stats at Cincinnati.
Yeah,
he only had, his biggest reception was 4.
Yeah, I'm selling the idea. I think that people are jumping to that, and the coaching staff's jumping to that because that's what's there right now. I don't believe that's all they're going to have there. Let's put it that way.
He could start the year out as that guy, but it could easily go as Ryan mentioned. Demetric Felton, who's a hybrid in college.
Yeah,
who I would think would be a better fit for that role.
They may not even have that guy.
They may not. It may be what everyone wants.
They may not use that guy.
It's going to be Nick Chubb all day.
It will be Nick Chubb. And I would love that. I'd be all over Nick Chubb.
Everyone would be fucking happy by it finally, and then he'd be the biggest, I'd have the biggest sell ever in Dynasty, because he's gonna get like 400 fucking touches this year.
All right. Buy or sell the idea that George Pickens will finish as a top 24 wide receiver this season. I'm buying. I'm buying this all day.
I'm gonna sell it. I don't think there's enough volume with Deontay Johnson there for him to get top 24.
I think he takes volume from Deontay Johnson because of how dynamic he is, how big play he is, how I think you get a little bit more consistency out of the ability that you saw from him. Deontay Johnson doesn't catch touchdowns, Dan.
Doesn't matter. Deontay Johnson just fucking gobbles up all the goddamn targets.
Yeah, and he drops half of them.
It doesn't matter.
I think Pickens
he still gets targets. We're not talking about Deontay Johnson top 24. We're talking about Pickens. Now, improvement on the offensive line should hopefully have longer plays developed, which could be where you get a little more volume to Pickens, as you can let those boundary routes come in.
Never thought you would develop his route tree more. Guy on the show.
I'm not anti Pickens. I'm just not buying him at this high.
Dan hates Pickens. You heard it here first.
I just
I
top
don't hate
24
Pickens.
is tough, man.
It's all like the way I see it is like, does Pickett take that next step forward? Because if Pickett
That
takes that
too.
next step
And
forward,
volume.
I could see Pickett
Well, it
doing
depends
that.
on if the offensive line takes that next step forward, right?
And based on how they drafted and everything, it looks like it's going to go that way.
Well, it's the pace is based on what their new identity wants to be.
I mean, come on.
This
Pickett has
isn't
7
fucking
touchdowns
Ben
and 9
Roethlisberger
interceptions.
from 2016. We're not getting 675 passes in 16 games.
No, they barely had.
They want to get Najee the
571.
ball more. Like they even said it already. Like they want to get Najee more involved in in all the facets of the game. Like
Najee had 272 carries last year. How much more involved can he get?
with the better
and
offensive
53
line, they're going to
targets.
want to run the ball probably a lot more. Gonna see where here's Pittsburgh. How much do they pass per game?
Not a lot.
Not a lot. So to give you an idea, Gabe Davis was the wide receiver 24 last year.
Gabe Davis had 2 wide receiver 1 weeks, and I think 3 or 4 top 12 wide receiver weeks. Now, granted, he was also a bottom feeder, but
It was so your 20 to 24 ended up being DJ Moore, Garrett Wilson, Cooper Kupp, who got hurt, Chris Olave, Gabe Davis. That's not rated points per game. If I rated out points per game, it was from 20 to 24. Jerry Jeudy hit 9.4. That's not the right scoring. Hold on. FPPR.
Boy, look at that.
There we go.
Pickens had 81 less yards off of 34 less receptions compared to Deontay Johnson.
And yeah, because Johnson's like, we're just going to throw it 3 yards to him. So 20 to 24 when I do the right scoring. Chris Godwin, Jerry Jeudy, Michael Pittman, DJ Moore, Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp, obviously, no, now it's not sorted by points per. I am really struggling with stats. Hey, we're going to do this one more time. 20 to 24 sorted by points per game. PPR. Jesus, finally where I want to be. Chris Godwin, Jerry Jeudy, Brandon Ayuk, Terry McLaurin, Mike Williams. Do you think George Pickens this year's George Pickens can outperform last year's Mike Williams? Is kind of where the question is here. I think that's a resounding yes for me. I'm buying the hell out of this.
What you're saying is that the wide receiver 2 for the Chargers is gonna be on par with the wide receiver 2, 1B, 1A on Pittsburgh. Separate the talent from this at the same way too
for
is
the Chargers that missed 4
volume.
games.
And Pickens averaged 9.8 points per game last year.
So he would need to go up by 2 points per game.
Is it possible? Absolutely. Top 24 if he stays healthy. I think it's the same thing. It's almost the same thing as the last guy we talked about with Jerome Ford. If he stays healthy and he gets any significant touches, he's top 32 for running backs. Pickens could be in the same boat. It's just whether or not Pittsburgh's offense is going to become a little more up tempo. You would think based on their division, there's going to be more shootouts. Mm-hmm. And just whether or not they're going to lean heavier into the running game. They improved their offensive line. It doesn't mean they're going to throw the ball more. It just got improved. This is a team that always wants to run the football. But I don't think the loss to Chase Claypool is going to do a whole lot for Pickens. No, and Deontay's been a target hog his entire time he's been there, including with Pickett last year.
I'm not banking on that. I'm banking on them realizing that Deontay shouldn't be the guy getting targets.
Dude, I 100% agree.
Yeah,
I'm just being realistic in the case of where he's at. Now, would I still want to keep trying to buy Pickens? Yes. I guess it'll depend what his value is, but because he can end up leaving Pittsburgh, right? We don't have these players right now. We have them for their career. So, and I also don't believe in Pickett. He could. If Pittsburgh sucks again this year, they could be in the market for a new quarterback again.
That's interesting. I'm like hesitant on to say 24. It's like I almost say he'll just finish on the outside.
He can be a top 20 to top 36. He can finish higher. He's that good of a fucking talent. I love Pickens.
So you're selling that, Ryan?
Yeah, I'll sell it.
All right, so I'm the only Pickens believer on the show.
Got it. I hate Pittsburgh. Fuck you for making me have to talk bad about Pickens.
Buy or sell John Mechie.
Buy just
Or-
because
I
it's
mean,
a wide receiver for Houston,
Or
and
hold.
they're all the same.
I am reserving zero opinion.
I
I don't want to say sell because I love his story, but he
I'm
hasn't played football in a year in an offense that did just overturn more wide receivers.
Yeah, so
I'm not saying he can't be. I'm saying, I mean, what are you buying him for? He's barely worth a 3rd round pick, probably.
So go.
You get a third, third
Yeah.
So
rounder.
go out and buy him now. Sure, I'll buy him where he's at now.
I'll buy him
Obviously.
where he's at now because again, like this isn't even like this is him not playing is less damning than Bateman not playing. And you know, if you believed in Mechie is the high round pick that most people had him as going into last season, like he hasn't done anything to falter on that. If anything, he's coming in on the same page, like new coaching staff, it's new offensive structure, it's a new quarterback, it's a better quarterback, rookie quarterback. He's not coming in behind anybody, and he's easily the most talented wide receiver on the roster on a team that's going to be playing from behind. I'm buying the hell out of that.
Yeah, I mean it's a team full of question marks. I'd take it. I'd buy it.
Oh my God! Someone in a super flex league traded John Mechie in a 24 first for Jared Goff.
What?
Oh,
That's
God.
win now. That's a win now move right there.
That is a win now move. But imagine going after Jared Goff in a win now move.
And you were a buy on that too, right, Dan, for Mechie?
I mean, it's a guy's notes on DLF's rankings. I'm rooting for him. That's where I'm at with it. I'll buy him for the cost of wide receiver 74 in Dynasty. That's in line with Jalen Hyatt, Adam Thielen, Tyquan Thornton, and Terrace Marshall.
I think that but why? This is what I don't get, right?
Because he hasn't played football in a year.
So
and
what?
He wasn't highly. I mean, he wasn't as highly. Not as much so. I'm not saying I dislike Mechie. I think it's more so he was an average receiver at Alabama. He's probably better than what he was, but he wasn't hyped in the way that he maybe should have been, or maybe he was overhyped because he played for Alabama.
He's a 2nd round pick. He's still not 23 years old. I
think it's because he hasn't played football in a year. I think that's where it lies.
And I'm saying that him not playing football in a year, not that he hasn't played. He's done team activities. He's practiced things like that. It's not that. I think he hasn't played in a year matters more for your standing on a particular roster. I don't know that you forget how to play football, which you've been doing your whole life, because you haven't played football in a year on a team that's having an entirely new system implemented with an entirely new quarterback. When you tell me somebody hasn't played in a year like Ridley, I worry about systems, guys that have played in that systems, quarterback chemistry, etc.
Is this a new system? This would be a new system, I think, too, right?
Yeah, this is an entirely new system, which is good because he's not coming in behind anybody. Everybody's learning it from square one, and as the Macho Man said, the cream rises to the top. And regardless of where he stood at Bama, I'm more concerned on where he stands on the Texans. And he's the most talented guy on the Texans with a 2nd round overall pick at quarterback, or 2nd overall pick at quarterback, coming in to throw to him, a former 2nd round pick who only hasn't played because he had cancer, and who's not coming in behind anybody. He's not coming in behind the 8 ball and learning the offense. And the reason the Texans didn't go wide receiver is because of how much they believe Mechie is going to infuse when he comes in. So, for me, you're putting him with guys like Jalen. I like Jalen Hyatt. We'll talk about him here in a
I'm
little
just going
bit.
off of the rankings, off of what DLF had him ranked at, which is, I think, is probably what it's going to be for most.
Really fucking low. You're going off of Tyquan Thornton, who did not a damn thing last year. You're going off of Terrace Marshall, who has a year and a half of not performing under his belt, not because he's been hurt, because he literally couldn't crack the starting lineup on a bad Panthers team. And you're putting a guy down there who's the only knock on him is that he didn't get on the field because he had lymphoma, and you're ranking him with those guys? I think that's bullshit.
The highest guy I had him, I think the highest guy in there had him at rank 51 which puts him in the veins where Elijah Moore, Kadarius Toney, Chase Claypool,
I think that
Keenan
makes
Allen,
more
Hopkins,
sense.
Reed, Davis. This is probably the highest you're going to see him being rated. Again,
I think that makes a lot more sense because
this is I like this guy and I get him for cheap. That's basically where he's at because you don't have to give up a lot to get him. He's not a package deal. He can obviously be a throw-in piece to most deals. Unless you're dealing with someone who likes Mechie as much as you do, or is with me, I have no issue. He joins a very ambiguous wide receiver room with a lot of turnover. I understand why he's ranked that low. I also understand that there's a lot of potential value to be gained here if he does hit. I think he was properly valued coming out of college, unlike most Alabama fucking players that are overdrafted.
Yeah.
So good on Mechie.
Drafted at the 212. Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Yep.
I am completely fine with that.
All right.
Anyways.
This is just kind of a yes or no question. Is there a second wide receiver worth going after on the Colts at all?
No.
I'm
Josh Downs?
No. I don't care who the fuck it was. That team is going to be one of that team is going to potentially break Chicago's lowest passing attempts in total this year. They could break that or whatever it's set at. I don't think that team's going to run a lot because I think AR is going to start week 1.
Yeah. With him, with Taylor, they're going to run a shitload. Pittman's going to get majority of the targets. I don't even know that Josh Downs actually beats out Alec Pierce. So
they had to beat Alec Pierce because Josh Downs can play in the slot.
He'll be playing from the side, but but how many 3 receiver sets are they going to run?
Not a lot.
All of them.
that's
it too.
It's
like he has to beat Josh Downs,
who can pass protect, and Jelani Woods, who they like a lot as a receiving tight end.
He has to beat Alec Pierce for the number 2 slot. He's obviously not going to beat Pittman in those 2 receiver sets. I don't think it matters.
I don't either.
You like Josh Downs or not? If you like Alex, if you like Pierce or not, I don't think it matters. This is a low volume offense that you don't want to bet on. So I'm low on Pittman.
State that I don't like Downs. I'm low on Pittman.
You guys like Downs. I like Downs.
I don't dislike Downs. I really don't have too much of an opinion on that. I know where you stand. I know where Ryan stands.
All right.
Next question.
Buy or sell? Another idea, not a player.
Sure.
Both Christian Kirk and Calvin Ridley will finish between wide receiver 15 and wide receiver 30 this season.
Oh, that's a definite buy. That team's going to throw so fucking much this year. Buy. They both could be top 24. They both could be top 20.
Did top 24, and then I thought I was being too generous.
No, I think they're both. I think that's a slam buy. I
think it's a slam dunk with them two, with Ingram, with how much that team's going to pass. With neither of them, I don't think that one's going to dominate the other for target share. I am all on board with them both being just mid-range and fine.
I am intrigued to see how long it takes really to kind of get fully back up.
Yes.
This played 2 years.
This is where you can argue.
Regardless, that's important.
It's not just that.
But none of that was never drug related. That was just gambling related. So
he just hasn't. I know, but it's just he hasn't played at that pace in 2 years.
And it's the opposite of what I said about Mechie too, who's coming into a new system, not behind anybody. He's coming into an in-place system with Peterson in that offense. He's coming in behind Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram as target receivers who have chemistry with Trevor Lawrence. And while I do believe that he will eventually probably be the top receiver on this team over Kirk, I think that there is more potential for it to be a slow start for the exact same reasons. I think Mechie isn't hurt by missing a year. I think that Ridley is, because you're coming into a situation where there are guys that have better chemistry. You're coming into a situation where there's established offense and an established pecking order, and you're also not coming in as a rookie. So, just gonna throw that out there. That being said, I do still think that they both finish between wide receiver 15 and wide receiver 30. I think they're both top. They both could be wide receiver 2s. I think that the target volume is going to be there. I don't think one dominates the other. This is going to be a spread the ball around offense.
Are they both top 30? Yes.
Yeah, I take both top 30. Especially with the way Lawrence is moving up. Like I see him taking that next step this year.
What's a top 10? It's a top 7 passing volume offense that
Yep.
should only improve. They're playing a first place schedule. It's going to see the likes of Buffalo, Kansas City, and Cincinnati. I don't know who else they're playing in terms of the other, divisions or conference, but they're throwing the ball more. And without having a true wide receiver one, they're going to be leaning on both Kurt and Ridley and Ingram, who may see some more outside snaps to fulfill that role. It might be a little slow start for Ridley. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if he starts out slow.
I'm with you.
Just because it's the shift of chemistry for both Kurt. I was screaming by for Kurt last year. I think Ridley's just a better talent, and I think eventually he'll take that.
Yeah, I'm real curious to see how the ADP lands for these two as well. But I do think that Ridley's a guy I might want to target mid-season because I do think that he will overtake Kirk, but I do think it's going to be slow.
Let's look at it. So right now, Ridley is higher than Kurt,
which
Ridley
makes sense.
This is best ball. Ridley's wide receiver 19, 44 overall, and Kurt is wide receiver 28, 58 overall. So you have 14 spots.
Kirk all day there.
I think that's a little high for Ridley.
I do too.
Everyone's thinking they're going to get 2020 Ridley when he went off.
But it's that and it's just the whole improvement of Jacksonville as a whole, and just expected volume. Really, I don't think you really want to play Ridley at a one spot. That's the only downside, because there were times he did struggle, especially his last year with the Falcons, to take on that role.
Yeah.
Again, I think they made a mistake not drafting a number one receiver, at least a bigger guy to play outside, but we'll see.
Yep. All right. Ready for the next one?
Yep.
We're almost done with the AFC. Buy or sell Samaje Perine as a top 24 running back the first half of the season. Now, a couple things you got to believe here. One, you got to figure out which story about Javonte Williams right now you want to believe.
Oh my God.
And two, you have to decide if you believe that, if he's not there, Perine is going to be a 3-down back. He's proven he can be a 3rd-down back. That's really helped with the Bengals, and he did it relatively well. But can he find his talent as a runner, which he's tried at Oklahoma, but hasn't been able to find in the NFL yet?
You just say top 24?
The top 24 through the first 8 weeks.
Oh my God.
So to give you an idea, I'm going to make sure I get all my settings right this time. Half PPR.
I was about to ask you who was
points.
What
per
did that
game.
look like last year?
What that looked like last year, your 20 through 25 through 24 were Leonard Fournette, Dameon Pierce, Zeke Elliott, DeAndre Swift, Travis Etienne, and yeah, those were your 20 through 24.
Oh my God.
In points per game. So a lot different because of games played, but that was your points per game.
I think he could be that even if Williams is going to play at the time. I'm still under the impression he's going to start the year in the pup list. I
am too. I think he goes
shocked if he plays.
I think there's going to be a lot of J.K. Dobbins to this recovery.
Yep, I agree with you on that one.
So,
it also depends how Denver's offense improves. I think a lot of us believe it's going to get better with just not only just Sean Payton, but
I think it's going to get better with a running game.
Well, that and having more time worked with these wide receivers with Russ, and not having the loud distraction of bringing in a guy like Russ that did to your fan base. I think it reset a lot of expectations. There's not a lot of expectations for Denver right now still. So,
yep. Brian, are you buying or selling that? I'm buying it.
I'm buying it right now. Yeah, for what we know now and how I kind of feel gut feeling wise, I'm buying some P right on that.
I am too. I don't think Javonte Williams. I'm with Dan. I think he starts on the pup. I think that it's a slow burn once he gets back, 2 to 3 weeks. I think that Perine, looking at the roster right now, would be the 3-down back in that scenario. And I think volume's enough to get you to top 24. All right. Stake your claim. So pick a guy. Most fantasy relevant wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs. MVS, Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, Rashee Rice, or someone else.
Oh my God. Don't care. I don't care.
The answer is Travis,
because it's not going to be who you think it is. The answer will not
gun
be
to your head. Pick a guy. I know who mine is.
I'll go Sky Moore. Actually, no, I'm moving to Kadarius Toney. I take that back. Kadarius Toney.
I'm
I don't want
Kadarius.
to play this.
I'm
I
Ka-
don't want to play this game.
I'm Ka-
I don't have the answer. I don't like anybody.
I'm Kadarius Toney if he's healthy because I think that he's the most explosive, and I think that he showed with the Giants that he can do some things with the ball in his hand. He's just never freaking healthy. MVS
He never got any work from them
non-productive.
last year when he was healthy for KC.
And was he healthy last year?
In the games that he played and that he was healthy, and it
He
was
was
healthy.
He was
It was like
healthy.
going in and
5,
out.
6 targets. It was like 5 targets at most, like no more than like 30% of the snaps.
No, he's got a whole offseason in the offense now.
So does Sky Moore and Rashi Rice.
So
and
pick, pick one of them.
I don't want to pick one of them. That's the problem. I want to pick Travis Kelce.
Tony missed 8 games last season.
God, why do they have to let Juju go and then bring in
Because they got
Rashi
Rice.
Well, I mean, they let Juju go before they drafted Rashi Rice, but is there any veteran receivers that they can
DeAndre Hopkins.
No.
I mean, they're not gonna. I don't think they have. I mean,
pick one. Gun to your head. Pick one.
it's Tony. He should be in the field more this year. Obviously, he should be starting from week 1 this year. If health isn't an issue, he is the best of all the players in terms of what he can do in an offense like Kansas City's. I think Sky Moore is dead, and I think Rashi Rice will end up being like Sky Moore this year. And it's going to be a lot of leaning on to Travis Kelce in the passing game.
I'm glad that could cause you that much pain.
Oh, God, I hate you so much.
All right.
It's like Gabe Davis. I don't care.
Last one for the AFC. Kick him out of the house. You're going to marry him or you're going to fornicate with him.
Oh, okay.
Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Quentin Johnston.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Why do you got to go to the Chargers like that?
It's actually pretty fair. I mean, in the context of Dynasty, and because it's different from Dynasty and redraft, I'm going to totally marry Quentin Johnston in Dynasty. I'll kick him out of the house, Mike Williams, and whatever the other one was.
Fornicate. Yeah.
I guess I'll fornicate. And
because all the fancy championship he's carrying you to.
And
then for redraft, it's pretty much I'm gonna marry Keenan Allen. I'm gonna fuck Quentin Johnston, and I'm still gonna cut Mike Williams. No, it's probably the other way around. I don't think Quentin's gonna get a whole lot this year. At least not as much as people think this.
I'm going Dynasty on this one. I'm right there with you, Dan. That's exactly where I was when I wrote this question. I'm marrying the long term of Johnston because, quite frankly, I don't trust the long term of Williams. Kicking out Williams, which I was willing to kick out Williams by year 2. And I'm fornicating with Keenan Allen. Like, it's more like, just one more time, big guy. Just one more time.
Yes.
The wheels haven't fallen quite off just yet.
Ryan, are you in the same boat?
I'm in the same boat. Yeah, we're all in the same bed.
All right. Let's get a review on this so I can finish this beer and pour some bourbon before we do the NFC.
Okay.
Beer review.
Then I'm going to go first so that I can pour
go.
bourbon in the meantime. All right, cool. We've got the Springbok from Half Acre. It is a Maybach. It is nice and bready on the front, a little bit of floral, a little bit of pine. It does have some of those toasted notes. When you drink it, you definitely get like rich bread crust. It's got a nice, rich like European malt to it. Just kind of that bread crust and toasty with just a little bit of caramel on the back end. It does have just the slightest hint of fruity esters to it. It's a really, really good example of the style. A little darker than what I tend to think of when I think about Helles, which by nature means light. The mouthfeel on this is probably a little bit more towards medium heavy, so not quite as refreshing as it could be. But the malt character is absolutely beautiful in this, which is the right amount of supporting hops and ester. No secret that Half Acre does good beer. Maybachs are hard to come by on the market. This is a really, really good one, though. If you perchance happen to come by it, it's a pretty fantastic example of what you expect with it. Outside of being just a little bit more cloying than what you'd expect.
Ryan.
So BrewDog is the world's only carbon negative brewery. If you guys didn't know that.
Didn't know that actually. It's posted like 19 places when you go there.
And all over their cans. But yeah, I had BrewDog's Lost, and it's the Planet First Lager. Definitely very light. It doesn't really it has like that smell of like a Yingling Light, and it's actually like
it's like crackery and bready and
yeah, it's like super smooth. Like you don't feel like
anything.
No, not really.
Makes sense.
Very yeasty. Like I don't know. I don't know how to explain it.
Bready, yeasty, crackery. I wish you did because I'm really interested in that beer, and I'm gonna have to try to find it now.
I'm sure. I mean, it's BrewDog, so it's going to be available in a lot of places.
I'm sure I can. Yeah.
I mean, I know. Well, no, Ryan's not in the home state of it, so I mean, I know he's a little bit closer to where the U.S. location is, but I don't think that would matter too much. But
I'll look for it when I'm in Chicago.
I'm sure you'll be able to find it. Again, drinking Hand of Fate's Steigen Symbiosis. This is the collaboration with Benny's Beverage Depot out of Chicago, Hand of Fate's out of Petersburg, Illinois, right next, about 30 minutes away from Springfield, near the middle of downstate, central downstate. This is just a true untrue Russian Imperial Stout, Asian bourbon barrels. I want to say this is the Weller 12 barrel that Benny's gave them, but I'm not entirely sure. Super rich in sweetness, a lot of dark fruits, a lot of plum, raisin, that stick out more. You're going to get a lot of rich milk chocolate, feints of dark chocolate, very, very feints of caramel from the barrel that was used. It's better. I think it's better than the last time I had it. I think it being cold kind of helps cut down on the richness. As it warms up, it gets back to where I get a little uncomfortable with it because it's just it's overly sweet soy sauce.
Yum.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's just I want it to tone down on the sweetness. There's nothing added to it, so which is pretty standard in a beer that's about 2 years old with this style that's gonna have a little more dark fruit come out. So it's good.
So I have a question.
Not elite, but it's good.
I just had to pick that apart for a second. You said overly sweet soy sauce, but I normally associate soy sauce with salty.
Yeah, I mean, it's
like sweet and sour sauce.
More like teriyaki.
I can say it's like overly sweet motor oil because it's super thick.
There you go.
Soy sauce, I guess if you want to go more, it's more of the vinegar route. I think it's where people want to use it when they're describing dark beer.
I was trying to, I'm not trying to pick on you or anything.
No, I know.
I was trying to piece it together in my head because soy sauce is normally really salty, which is like the taste bud opposite of sweet. So
it is. It's absolutely opposite. It's definitely not bad. It's definitely better now that it's aged.
But if you mean like consistency, that makes sense. Like where it's like
a lot of dark fruit. It's really, really rich and
sounds like something I'd want to split with somebody.
It's definitely a split them. It's absolutely.
All right, cool. Well, thank you to Half Acre, Hand of Fate, and BrewDog, who didn't have a choice but to have their beers featured.
Like they had a choice.
All right, we'll start with the NFC. Do y'all really want to discuss Cowboys tight ends or wide receivers twos? Because I was looking at it and I'm like, all right, that's compelling, but I don't think I really want to talk about it.
No, I think Dallas is pretty chalk.
Well, you don't know who's going to be the Schultz replacement, and I think most people are going to assume Brandon Cooks is the wide receiver too. So I think the real battle there that nobody's going to stake a claim to right now, because why would you? You don't have to. Is going to be Ferguson versus Hendershot versus whoever the hell it was. They just
Schumacher.
Their second round tight end. Yeah. It's the answer.
Who's a year younger?
They'll tell us by week 6, and then they'll tell us again by week 12 when they change it. So
I'm going Hendershot for no reason other than I like his name.
Schumacher's 1 year younger than Dalton Schultz too.
Schumacher because I have him in a lot of dynasty leagues because playing a lot of tight end premium.
There you go.
That's only
And he's a
reason.
Michigan man.
I'm not even writing these down because I don't care.
No.
On to something that's sure to make Dan cringe as much as the Chiefs questions did. Giants.
Oh God,
Stake
no.
your claim on a wide receiver.
No.
Paris Campbell, Isaiah Hodgins, or Jalen Hyatt.
I like Hodgins right now. Hodgins because of what we saw with him and Danny Dimes.
He was a touchdown machine.
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
Give me Hodgins because I have him in Dynasty. That's why I like him.
Dang! You can go to Dan route there.
Gun to your head, Dan.
I'll go with Hodgins, the prove it guy from last year. Even though I think he's gonna get overdrafted like crazy.
I'm gonna go Hyatt.
What is his best ball ranking?
I'm gonna go Hyatt just to be different, but I like
Hyatt a lot.
My heart of hearts believes it's Hodgins too, but I'm gonna go Hyatt.
I think it's gonna change a lot
weekly
throughout the year.
Give me Darren Waller.
Absolutely.
So if you're playing best ball,
I'm actually looking at best ball rankings. I want to say Hyatt's the highest at pick 167, which is pretty much, and yeah, he is the highest because you have Hyatt he's
a burner.
15. I mean, the claim that he's better for best ball makes sense. That's going to be his week one role. It's because he doesn't have a hyper developed route tree, so his role is going to be deep threat to start. And Hodgins will probably still be there. Yeah, he'll be the appropriately priced Santa Claus. Thank you very much. Fucking Gabe Davis. Anyways, next question.
No more discussion on that.
No, I said Isaiah. We all said Hodgins.
No, I said Hyatt to be different.
Yeah, but you knew in your heart what you're.
Yeah,
it's a big difference. Yeah, you just okay. I'm
gonna try to will Hyatt into existence because I planted a flag on him, even though I was willing Hodgins into existence at the end of last season.
That is true.
DeAndre Swift. This is an over/under question.
Okay.
DeAndre Swift, running back 15 with the Eagles.
I'm gonna sell that. Low it.
Yeah, under.
I think it's gonna be a committee until Penny gets hurt. But
exactly, I was just gonna say.
But also until Swift gets hurt, because Swift can't stay healthy either.
That 13 to 17 range was Jamal Williams, Alvin Kamara, Ramondre Stevenson, Kenneth Walker, Jonathan Taylor, Miles Sanders at 18. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think it's a little bit below that. I think RB2's right, but I think I'm going to sell it on top 15.
He needs volume.
RB2.
Yep.
So right now in best ball, from a redraft lens, best ball running back, which I think it's a little easier to gauge because they're not so one for one, but at this range they pretty much are. Swift RB19, pick 59. A Penny is pick 103, RB34, and Gainwell is RB47, pick 141. I think Gainwell. I think Gainwell could end up. I don't know if I want to say if he's going to outscore Swift. I think there's a very realistic chance that Gainwell is going to have more productive. And more high in weeks.
Penny's going to have some weeks when he's healthy too, I think. So it's just in goal line work too if they protect him. So it's really going to be
Swift is that far behind.
Yeah.
If he's that far ahead of him, or like even in this case, he's a round 3 or 4 pick. At pick 59. So between rounds 4 and 5. That's the true RB dead zone for most years.
And if he's going at that rate, I'm gonna have the same amount of shares of him as this jersey number.
32.
0.
Oh, yeah. Is he 0 for Philly?
Yeah, he's 0. Yep.
Oh, look at you.
All right. The next one is a pick your running back trio between Washington and Chicago. So you have Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson, and Chris Rodriguez, or Deonta Foreman, Khalil Herbert, and Roshan Johnson.
The most athletic goes to Washington and Gibson. The better overall backfield goes to Chicago in terms of what I believe in talent and usage.
I think that,
and I think Gibson could get traded.
I think that, yeah, I don't know. I almost feel like Washington's got the edge on. I don't know. I think so. Robinson over Foreman, I think that's pretty equal. I'd take Gibson over Herbert on raw talent just because of the receiving ability. And I liked Rodriguez more than Roschon coming out of the draft as far as the rookie goes. So I think I'd actually lean Washington here by a hair. I also think that if we total this up at the end, the biggest difference here could be when you look at fantasy points at the end of the year, that the Bears have Justin Fields and Washington does not. And I think that makes a big difference for your running game, i.e., I think Washington's going to lean on their backs more, especially with Ron Rivera, than what Chicago is going to. So if I'm looking at this and I'm like, give me somebody out of that backfield, I feel myself leaning more Washington than Chicago. That's just me.
All right, so I want to frame this up in a way that's based off ADP. Brian Robinson and Khalil Herbert are the first running backs taken from both respective teams. Both players back-to-back, 105, 106, pick 30, RB35, RB30C.
I'd probably go Herbert in that regard if he's going to get the majority of the work for Chicago.
And then you got Gibson versus Foreman next in line. They're separated by 5 picks.
Wow.
Three,
so I did a pretty good
4
job.
picks.
I did a pretty good job picking this then.
Yeah.
And then obviously Roschon will be a lot higher than Chris Rodriguez because Roschon
higher pick.
And I think the community just.
And I think Rodriguez is more talented though.
So that's a fun way to frame it.
Yeah, it is.
I still think the Bears running back room, I think, is going to outscore Washington though.
Ryan, you're the tiebreaker.
I'm going Washington's. I like Washington. It's like a 51-49. Like it's very super close.
And most efficient running team last year in Chicago.
Right.
Nothing changed.
But their quarterback plays into that too.
And so he's taking away running.
Right.
the team is still going to be hyper efficient.
Efficient running team, not your because Justin Fields is going to carry him to hyper efficiency. I'm not looking at team rushing.
Herbert was he was insane
rushing.
Last year.
Herbert was.
I get what you're saying, but
last year I agree.
I also think Chicago is a better team than Washington.
I
think they're going to have more. They're going to score more this year.
This is really just a giant play to make me you say a bunch of nice things about the Bears.
I mean, I've never said it's.
I mean, no one on the Bears had over 69 targets.
What's that?
No one on the Bears had over 69 targets last year.
First off, nice. Second off, what does that have to do?
They're not
with
throwing at
the
the Gibson.
Yeah.
They're not throwing at the Gibson anyways. I hope they trade him.
Right.
No, because you're thinking like with DJ Moore and stuff. Like people would think like the running game would take a step back.
I don't think it. I mean,
I think they're still going to be really efficient at running the football. I just think Washington is literally going to be a running team through the running backs, whereas the Bears are going to be they really have the potential to be a light your ass on flyer offense with any number of ways they decide to do it.
Hey, they had multiple weeks last year putting up a lot of points.
Yeah.
On offense.
Am I excited about a Bear? I don't know. I feel like I can't let myself get excited about a Bears offense, but I should be excited about a Bears offense.
You should be. I would be.
So weird. They've never had a 4,000-yard passer.
And they're not going to have one this year probably either. But
they have quite literally not had a good offense in my entire lifetime, other than maybe the Alshon Jeffrey, Brandon Marshall years, which was still kind of mediocre overall.
And the Matt Forte years.
But the offense wasn't good. It was just okay.
I think it depends how you want to frame up what would constitute a good offense. We can see Chicago where Baltimore was.
I was going to say Baltimore
maybe 18
plus.
Post, maybe 2018 after Lamar took over, not 2019 Lamar. I'm not going to put that on Justin Fields. That's way too much pressure, but
Baltimore plus, I think, and plus is actually having a passing game. So,
yeah,
that's where I'm at with it.
All
right. Do you want to argue about Packers wide receivers?
No.
All right, cool.
There's nothing on that team that has any nothing.
You don't want to argue
Watson over.
I was going to say
Dobbs,
Jalen Reed, or Samiko Toure.
I don't think Toure makes the team.
I think Toure makes the team.
I don't know who's even on the team.
Exactly, Ryan. Exactly.
Toure had some flashes last year. All right.
You can't even argue Jones or Dillon.
No, you can't. because
Anyways,
I'm
next
bored
team.
of that argument.
Yeah.
Buy or sell, Dalvin Cook will be a Viking to start the season.
Sale. It's gonna be
So-
post June 1st cut.
Yep.
I can't wait to see where he goes to
Dallas?
fuck up somewhere. No, Miami. He's gonna go fuck up all the A-Chain shares for this year.
That would break my heart.
Ryan, are you selling that? Do you?
No, I'm buying him being
You think
going.
he's just still going to be a buy? Sorry. Do you? Buy would mean.
Is he in the
He's in
Vikings
the
or
Vikings?
not?
Yeah.
No, he's not a Viking.
Okay,
You don't
so he's
think
gonna sell it.
So you're going to sell it. Got it. So I think they would prefer trade him versus cut him. And I think if they can't trade him, that you get into an interesting conundrum here for them. I think there's a chance he could be. And if he did leave, I'd be really fucking interested to see, like you guys, where he landed. But I don't know that. Let me go look at this real quick. I'm gonna do some cap research before I say anything.
I think it's more so he's gonna want to be. He's young enough to still want to be a featured guy, or at least a 1A to a 1B, and he'll likely have his. And he'll be able to pick on which teams that he wants to try to be competitive.
And the Vikings allegedly want to do right by him to get him somewhere competitive. They're beyond. So if he is a post June 1st cut, they take on $5 million in dead cap with $9 million in savings.
Gonna ramp up to try to make a run at somebody.
This
That's
year.
been the speculation
in
is that they're trying to load up money to go after somebody.
In $3 million next year. And post 6-1 trade saves them $11 million. So the Vikings also, from a cap perspective, probably also prefer to trade him after the first.
Teams have to want to trade for him, and then want to have to give up the value in return, which is why he didn't get moved during the draft. I mean, maybe
it's going to be more of a.
But here's the thing for Minnesota, right? If looking at it from a cap perspective, are you willing to take a little bit less in draft compensation to save $2 million more over your dead cap this year? You save $11 million this year versus $9 million. You save $2 million more via a trade than you do via a cut. So are you willing to take less for it to quantify as a trade to have $2 million more in salary cap space? And I think that's what they're going to have to wrestle with there. You know, do you get somebody to trade for him because you free up more cap? And if their goal is to free up more cap, then, you know, doesn't change anything in 2024. It's still going to be $3.1 million, but it gives them $2 million more in cap space this year to trade him versus cut him. If that's your goal.
It's going to be depends on what they can find for trade suitors. I mean, I'm sure we can always say, just trade a 7th round pick, but we all know that more goes into it than just that. I think what they found out during the draft is he doesn't have a market.
And the Vikings have $11 million in cap space right now.
Yeah, like I said, I think they're ramping up to make some trades for maybe some cheap veterans. That's why they let go of Zadarius Smith. Is that it's who knows. I'm gonna let Cam cook. It's what Twitter said. I'm gonna let Cam cook.
I'm gonna buy that Cook is a Viking to start the season and might be more of a mid-season trade. Post June 1st for them to make a run at somebody in the off season. Where
if Cook is on the roster at week 1, there's no way he's getting traded. I don't think they'll trade him. I think no. At that point, you're looking at a team that's going to try to be more competitive.
I have a question for you, Dan. When you say gearing up to make a run, do you mean gearing up to make a run this offseason or gearing up to make a run at some big free agents next offseason?
I think they're going to look to try to make a trade for somebody that, could be on the mood, another, veteran on whatever side of the ball. it's not going to be, we're going to trade in season. I just don't think they're going to move Cook in season. If they move Cook, it's going to be this off season. It's going to be post June 1st.
Yeah, which that's
as long as they get a true on, a team that wants to pay up for him, whatever that would be.
Let me put it this way: I don't think they cut him unless they have something laid out immediately that they want to do. I don't think they cut him just for the sake of cutting him and reclaiming that cap. I think that there's got to be a course.
Oh no, I'm sure they'll have a plan. Oh yeah. No, and they'll have a plan in place for sure.
If they don't, they're not cutting him. They can get a trade that works out. I think they'll do that because it saves them space and nets them something. I don't know. I think the Cook and Mixon situations are the most interesting things I'm watching post June 1st.
I want to see. I think Mixon stays in Cincinnati. I think Cook leaves, and I think you're going to see Cook for Nancy kind of compete for
veteran.
The veteran 1A grinder-esque back on a championship contender.
I think Cook is the most dynamic.
I think him and Fournette are pretty much the same at this point. I think all three backs are kind of
Fournette
beyond their prime.
Really bad last year.
Yeah, it was really
Tampa
bad.
Bay had the league's worst offensive line last year.
He was only good for a dump off time a couple of years ago, and then after that, it just fell off.
Well, I think the question is like,
his Cook was also bad last year.
I mean, it wasn't that bad. He almost had 1,500 yards.
Well,
yeah,
what?
He almost had 1,500 total yards.
Yeah, he did.
Yep.
I look at
watching those games. You wouldn't have. You would have never guessed because he looked pretty bad most games.
Pretty. He had those like 2 or 3 big games.
Well, I'm looking at this stuff and I'm like, where the hell? Without injury, like, where the hell do any of them even want to go? Buffalo, maybe. Miami, sure, if they're interested.
Who's more willing to?
Miami's the most
sacrifice
attractive
playing
spot.
time, I guess. Maybe Kansas City.
Kansas City
Buffalo,
would be the only other one, and Denver.
Miami.
Denver.
Dallas.
Devonta's not right. Dallas, maybe.
You could look at maybe French playoff teams too. Fuck. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not worried about it right now. I'll say that.
Anyway, I'm gonna go buy on that, even though I'm probably gonna be wrong. Again, just to be different. Stake your claim: Jahmyr Gibbs or David Montgomery.
Montgomery.
I think Monty for per ADP. Gibbs RB17.
I think Gibbs. Yeah, Gibbs 46. Is going up and Montgomery's falling.
Monty's RB24, pick 67.
I'm gonna go Monty with you. Again, it's I know that there's a lot of draft capital in Gibbs. He's already missing time. Monty is a solid between the tackles player. If they plug him into the Williams role, I think he's really gonna excel at that. And if he's cheaper, yep.
That is one ADP battle I'm gonna keep my eyes firmly on.
Yes.
How much, because again, best ball right now, he's going to always lean towards some more explosive back when you're comparing the two. So it makes sense that Gibbs is the head. I want to see where this is at in like early August as we're ramping up redraft ADP and redraft mocks and leagues. Because I think I could see Gibbs falling, but I can actually see Monty gaining steam. Because I wouldn't be shocked if Monty will be called the starter early on in the offseason. And then we'll see a bump to Monty, and we'll see where he lands. Probably rounds 3 or 4 or 5, probably around 5. That's the highest between the two.
All right. Next one. Buy or sell the idea that Kyle Pitts finishes as a top 4 tight end.
Top 4.
I was gonna go top 3.
I'm buying it, man. Year 3.
Let's see if it takes off this time. Offense
has that identity. I don't know, man. I don't think it's gonna happen. But
it's tight end.
I'm gonna wish cast it. I mean, top 4 is pretty. That's pretty big. That's not only that he stays healthy, but that's
he stays healthy, and that the offense takes enough of a step to feed him that level of volume over any other guy that's that's in that mess. When you think
It's
about
still just Pitts in London
when you
at receiver.
when you think about top 3, you're looking at Kelsey for sure.
Matt Collins too. Don't forget him.
No,
Yeah, so
don't worry.
So
I'll forget it.
let's think about that for tight end. You're looking at Kelsey for sure, probably
Yeah.
one. You're looking at
Kelsey, Andrews, Hawkinson.
Andrews
are your top 3.
But then you get Hawkinson, and then behind that you've got Kittle, who's a possibility. You've got Ingram, who blew up last year. You've got
George Kittle.
I just said Kittle.
You say George Kittle? Oh yeah.
Yeah. You've got Goddard with the Eagles.
That's what I was thinking of Goddard.
That definitely could be. You've got a handful of guys that absolutely could make a run at that spot, and Pitts is just right with them. With like I said, I already mentioned Evan Ingram, Goddard, Kittle. I'm sure there's more. Freiermuth, Dalton Kincaid if he comes in hot.
Darren Waller,
Darren
New York.
Waller, New York. There's a lot of possibilities once you get really outside of the top 1, right? As far as how that order could fall. So I'm selling the idea that Pitts bounces back that hard, even if he did in the volume department. With the touchdown struggles, I still don't expect the offense to take a big step forward.
I think top 4 is doable.
Where did Gesicki go?
He went to New England. I would tier 1 with Kelsey, Andrews, and Hawk. I mean, you can obviously put Kelsey in his own tier, fine, but
Andrews and
tier
Hawk
2 is Andrews and Hawk.
Yeah.
And then it's everybody, and then it's literally everybody else.
Throw a dart.
Kittle just doesn't get the consistent volume to be.
He's too good of a blocker. That's why.
Well, he's still one of the league's best.
So
when it comes after the catch and just pure talent, but
half PPR points per game last year was Travis Kelce by 4 points a game.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was George Kittle in second, Andrews in third, Hawkinson in fourth, all separated by 1.4 points. And there's a slight drop off to Goddard, and then Waller, Ertz, Njoku, Ingram. Njoku's another one that's up there in that discussion to get up. So
I can see why people won't want to bet on it just based on the offense, but I have no issue if somebody who says that they believe that Pitts is going to finish as the tight end 4 or the top of that tier behind Kelsey, Andrew, Hawk, because I think that whole tier is very, very close, and it's just take the one with just take the latest one you can. Those middle round tight ends really fuck you, man. Those tight ends that you take rounds like 5 and 6 between that and 8 and 9 can really fuck you.
There's a 1.5 a game that separates tight end 6 to tight end 13, basically.
Yeah.
So
stay healthy.
It's like, yeah, Goddard is kind of floating in between the low tier and the high tier. Kelsey's in a tier of his own. Kittle, Andrews, Hawkinson. Goddard's kind of floating in the middle. It'd probably just come down and catch him with that other tier. And then it's Waller, Ertz, Njoku, Ingram, Freiermuth. Those guys are all within a point a game of each other.
Yeah.
So I think it's too much of a crapshoot. I'm selling it. Better at odds he's outside of it than in it.
True.
Over under Miles Sanders, running back 10 with the Panthers.
So, yep.
I don't like the offense enough for him to get the touchdowns to get him there.
I don't like the track record of health either.
I mean, I think what's going to propel him the top 10 is going to be targets in the offense, because the touchdowns won't get him there. And I think Bryce is a more than capable player that can scramble or keep his eyes downfield and work intermediate to deep routes on those type of plays. So not to say that Sanders can't or that there's no shot, but
it's in the realm of possibility.
I would sell it.
But
I don't trust the offense, and plus he's also learning an entirely new offense, new quarterback, and not the strongest track record of health, as you mentioned.
Yeah. To give you an idea of what that would look like, that's going to be in the Mixon, Pollard, Connor, Dalvin Cook, Aaron Jones range. So,
running backs that was rough last year.
Miles Sanders was 18. Yeah, running backs you even really didn't ever run away one necessarily. You had 4 guys that were within 1.2 points of each other a game. It was Eckler, McCaffrey, Henry, and Jacobs.
Who is his backup?
Chuba Hubbard.
Chuba Bird and nothing else.
And so it should be
Chuba.
So I really think
should be rostered.
I really think the majority of the work should go to Sanders if he's healthy.
To start, absolutely.
Yeah.
He'll be up there.
Even long term, I don't like Chuba. I think the only thing that hurts Sanders is if he gets
of course.
hurt. Otherwise, he's going to have the volume, and I think that that was a commonality around those top guys. But I don't think that you can rely on him to be up in the. I mean, listen to these touches for these guys. Austin Eckler had 311 touches to get to the running back 1. Christian McCaffrey was upwards of 300. He was at 320 some odd. I'm not great at math, sorry. Derrick Henry had 370. Josh Jacobs had 390. This is receptions plus carries, by the way.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley had 340. Nick Chubb had 329. And that's it. This is in points per game. I see no way that you're getting him up there. But the argument was running back 10. So Tony Pollard was at 220. James Conner was at 220. Dalvin Cook was inefficient. He had 290. And then Aaron Jones, a bit inefficient. Jamal Williams,
You know what hurts him?
What's that?
He had 20 catches. He had 78 yards and 20 catches.
Yes. And
he's one of the worst pass catchers in football.
That's exactly what hurts him, because you look at pure runners, right? The only guys that were up there with less than, the only guys that were top 10 with less than 50 targets were Breece Hall. This is points per game, so that doesn't even count. Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry. Those are the only 2 that were up there with less than 50 targets.
It's very easy sell. I like Sanders. Year 1, there was a lot of optimism, but he's not a good. He's a horribly inefficient pass catcher on a significantly worse offense. He had 11 total touchdowns last year. That's what propelled him to even be a mid RB2, high 2. He's not going to get that this year. He would have to be peppered with targets, I think, for him to get to that point. He to even get RB10. I think question. He's more of a fringe 2.
You take him or Miles Sanders? Or Miles
Sanders?
Take Miles Sanders or Miles Sanders?
Shit, I don't know, man. Which one am I taking?
Do you want 2022 Miles Sanders or 2019?
All right, Dan, I'm going to give you the chance. Dan,
gun to my head, Miles Sanders.
Dan, I'm going to give you the chance to know what I really meant there. What was I really trying to ask? Let's have a bro moment here.
Are you asking Sanders or Montgomery?
No.
I mean, I figured same class, because it can't be Sanders and Jacobs. Because
no, I was going to ask.
Or Swift.
Sanders or Swift. That's what I was going to ask. Was Sanders or Swift?
I would take Swift. I think just when Swift's healthy, he's clearly a better back on a.
I think there's a lot of synergy there, right? They both had shown
that is true
promise. They both were highly regarded coming out. Neither one of them had necessarily been healthy for a couple of those years, and now they're in,
oh my God,
different places where I think I actually think Sanders has a better shot at more volume than Swift
he does.
So.
I agree. But basketball rankings or basketball ADPs,
they're right by each other.
Literally, they're 2 picks separate them. They're both dead zone running backs. They're both running backs you don't even want to try to roster, because
I'm probably gonna
hate yourself.
I'm probably gonna try to roster. I think.
I mean, I have him in Dynasty team, so I have to have him in some area. I'm probably not. There's no way I'm going to be targeted him in that range.
All right, 2 more. Rachaad White. I'm gonna. That's at RB15, but the more I talk about it, Rachaad White is an RB20 with Tampa Bay.
Yes.
is RB15 with
You
Tampa
can go
Bay.
RB15. Yes.
Okay. Rashad White is RB15 with Tampa.
Yes.
Pass. So
All day. I ain't scared about the offense. He's gonna get a lot of check down work. He's got no mobile quarterback there.
Yeah.
He got a lot of work with. Brady was fucking bad last year. I mean, White had the opportunity.
I'm going to sell top 15 and buy top 20 is where I'm at. I'm with Ryan. I'm selling top 15.
What's the difference really between 15 and 20?
In points per game?
It cannot be that much.
12.7. It's 0.7 of a point.
Exactly. Yeah. I understand the concern, and I don't think his hype has quite hit high end yet, oddly enough.
So let me do this. If I go full season, the difference between 15 and 20, 15 was ETN at 191.6 points and a half PPR. 20 was Zeke Elliott at 177.3. So it's 20 points over the course of the season.
Over the year. White is pick 74, RB26 in best ball.
Jesus, I'll take that all day.
Hype hasn't hit him. It will. Obviously, once the casuals get their hands on it, and you get enough of him as a Rashad White's a sleeper, or he's a breakout candidate. I get people's concern. I'm going to be bullish on a running back that's going to have zero competition for touches, and doesn't have a track record of getting hurt yet.
I'm going to put him outside of the top 15 and put him in the top 20. So
same difference.
Yeah, pretty much.
I know. I get you.
Pretty much.
I think top 12 would be pushing. I think top 15 is a very firm ceiling. I'm happy with. Ryan, what are your concerns? Obviously, you guys
just that whole entire Tampa Bay offense in general is my concern.
Like, we didn't, or it's gonna be good. There's so much talent at everywhere that's not the quarterback.
Their defense and their offensive line need. I don't say their whole defense. Their offensive line needed a lot of work.
Their offensive
line
went
decimated
from like one of the best to just decimated in the course of a year somehow.
Thank you to injuries and
retirements
and the Bengals and retirement. Yeah, absolutely.
Like they just completely decimated that offensive line, and that no offensive line killed old man Brady.
No,
big time.
No mobile quarterbacks there. I think you can get a lot of checkdowns. That's what I'm banking on with White. I don't think he's an RB1. I don't think the offense can get him there. But high 2, I think it's in his realm of possibility if he stays healthy. If well, I mean he's on a track record getting her. That's the difference between him and Miles Sanders at this point. And I can get White 3 rounds after Sanders and Swift. The fact that Swift and Sanders are ahead of Dobbins is shocking to me, but Dobbins is a raging pie.
You ready for the last one?
Let's do it.
Who's the last one? It's gonna be the
kick out, marry, fornicate. I made them both of them on the same ones. We're going Seattle this time.
Yeah, Seattle.
Lockett, Metcalf, JSN.
Ooh,
a lot of synergies here to Los Angeles.
It is. It's the same for Dynasty. I'm gonna marry JSN. I'm gonna fuck Metcalf because I mean, come on. And I'm gonna sadly cut Lockett. Sadly for Dynasty. Redraft.
I think you flip Metcalf and Lockett almost.
No, I'll still take. I'll take the big playability in Metcalf. I think JSN at some point in time takes over Lockett's role completely. I think he's going to push Lockett on the outside. And I think you're going to see more of a flanker style Jason as the season progresses. Not to start the year, but as the season progresses. I'm gonna fuck Jason in this some Mary Metcalf. I still believe he's a wide receiver 1, and then I'll get sadly cut Lockett.
So you're cutting Lockett regardless.
I'm cutting Lockett regardless.
Which one are you fucking?
In
Dynasty.
JSN. So. For Dynasty,
Metcalf.
Yeah.
I
want to keep JSN long term.
He's got a big everything else. I'm betting that's gonna hurt.
He's gonna hurt. That dude ain't slouching something small. He
betting-
ain't rolling with pennies. If you catch my drift. He ain't rolling.
Everything else in that guy is fucking stacked. He's got to have a python. Jesus. What are we gonna? The only place you can get predictions on DK Metcalf's penis.
Fantasy football.
I should almost end the show right there. Ryan, what are you going with?
Mary Decaf. Fuck JSN.
Yeah.
Kick out. Lock it on that.
So you're marrying Metcalf, you're fucking JSN.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're kicking out Lockett.
Yes.
Yeah. JSN just looks like a little bit more
He's the
approachable.
same as me. He's the same as me.
No, he's not.
He's more approachable.
He's flipped from you, Dan. You were marrying JSN in Dynasty and fucking Metcalf.
Yo, I thought we were talking. Okay.
We're talking
whatever.
Dynasty.
Dynasty. Okay, fine. Yes.
Ryan's marrying Metcalf, fucking JSN, and cutting Lockett in Dynasty.
So he wants Metcalf longer. Okay.
All right.
He's afraid of Metcalf's penis. That's probably why.
I am marrying JSN. I am fucking Lockett because
Oh my god.
Damn.
He's 30 years old, man. He's gonna get cut.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
but his portfolio probably looks a lot better.
He knows what he's doing too. It's not about the size; it's about the motion.
He knows how to
in the
use
ocean.
it. But he
knows how to use
he's
it.
not running in there. Oh, willy nilly.
He knows how to use what he's doing. I don't think he's gonna fall off. I think that he's gonna find a way to stay relevant, and I'm gonna
look me into my eyes.
I'm going weird here. I'm gonna cut Metcalf, which also doesn't feel great, but
no.
You know,
It's not you. It's me. is what you
downplayed
say to
last
him, right?
season. It's
Yeah,
not
yes.
you. It's me. You're very inconsistent. It hurts.
You said you call, but you won't, or you didn't, but you call some of the time.
I can't even enjoy it because it's too big.
You leave my messages on red for a day and a
You
half.
tried to text me from Microsoft Excel on a flip phone, and I shout out to Nelly and Kelly Rowland.
Dude, that's a great fucking scene. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
The internet never forgets. What a great music video.
Should we end this before I get into more?
Yeah, please.
That was fun.
About DK Metcalf. How long
Yeah,
DK
this is-
Metcalf is.
We're gonna get monetized for it. Wait a minute.
Get monetized for that. This is
Not
Pornhub.
monetized. Yeah. Not monetized.
At Beerfield, at Beerfield Hop, at Ryan Miner _FFB, at Beerfield Theory, at DK Metcalf's penis, at I don't even know.
At FF Face Off. Home of Daddies.
That's just what I'm gonna name the show is DK Metcalf's penis.
Metcalf's penis. Yes. Large.